Well, it's Gus Worland here from Gotcha4Life, and I have two of the people that I love and respect the most in the world, let alone in this space, with me now, Tom and Paige from Tomorrow Man and Tomorrow Woman. Hello, guys. How are you?
Hi.
We're doing good.
Yeah.
We're in lockdown.
Yeah.
Well, you were meant to be in lockdown anyway. You were having a little bit of time away, but that's all, I imagine now you've had the bubba and so forth. That's all changed a bit because you've both had to do quite a pivot with your programs to get them online.
Yeah, big
That's
time.
right.
Yeah. I mean, like we were planning on a bit of time, like walking the talk a bit with what we do. And so we had planned to have 3 months off when Augie came along, our little one, who's a month old today. So we were kind of ready for a bit of confinement, but weren't necessarily, like most people, anticipating COVID-19 and what it would do to the businesses. But the team's been incredible. Like we really haven't actually been sucked back into the businesses too much because the team's just been amazing, and nothing's weirdly, like what we do, nothing's changed about it. The only thing that's changed is the medium. You know, usually we're face to face. And that's the only thing that's really changed. Now we're obviously going virtual with all of our programs, but what we aim to do is exactly the same. The impact that we want to have, exactly the same, and never been more relevant and needed.
Oh, absolutely. And moving forward, how much it's needed too. I mean, Paige, I must admit, I was worried about whether or not we could build a safe environment and to be vulnerable. And I have been shocked at, I've had two and I had to get myself out of one because it triggered something in me. And then secondly, I've had at least 20 people come to me and say, I never would have turned up at that sports club. I never would have turned up at that surf club, but I'm going to turn up now because I can mute it if I want to. I can take the video off if I want. I can go up and it's just easier for me. And I didn't even twig that that might even be a load of people out there that don't want to turn up.
Yeah.
I actually had a couple of, we recently ran our first gather online, which is the female kind of equivalent to our blokes night. And a couple of my friends went along and who would never normally rock up to those types of things. And they actually all spoke and they said they felt so much safer speaking in the group because they were at home in their space. They couldn't see anyone, like, you know, there was no one next to them feeling their judgment or their energy. And so they shared a lot. And yeah, exactly that, like actually had a really big response to it as opposed to, they're like, we would just never go to that normally.
I hadn't thought about that. I hadn't thought about it. Had you guys thought about that? Because I think now we need to have the programs online as well as face-to-face once we can.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking to our team about let's not mourn what it used to be like. Like, let's, by the time that this all kind of is over and we're back out, you know, face to face again, we really want the face to face just to be a bonus, because we feel like, you know, it's become easier than ever to actually connect. Like logistically, it can be challenging to get, you know, 50 or 100 people into a room together in a community. Whereas now we can do it so easily through this technology. But I think, like most things, people just haven't had the practice at how to create genuine connection and intimacy online through a virtual medium like this. But it's more than possible. Like it can be done, and we're showing it can be done. And so the hope is that we'll, you know, maybe we'll be doing 60% of our programs virtually from now on. And 40% face to face. It will enable us to have much more impact for much more people, which is great.
I must admit, I'm missing the cuddles. I'm missing the cuddles.
Me too, Gus. Me too.
Give yourself one of these. One of these. This is, you know,
it's a good anchor.
It's a good anchor. And there's studies that show when you do that, you get some of the benefits of an actual hug.
Good.
But it's a great point. I mean, it's something that the team we've been discussing, just that, that is the thing that's missing. So how do we create that in the workshop. You know, how do we get people, or a young person say, to kind of do that for themselves? Because, or for us to say, we wish we could hug you right now, and
so do this.
Yeah.
so do that.
We'd be doing it if we were there for you.
Yeah, because for a lot of people, that is the thing that's missing.
Yeah, for sure. There was one piece, and for people that don't know, the next time that the gathering's on, or the blokes night is on, you'll be able to see it for yourself. But there's a facilitator there, and at times you break up into groups, smaller groups. And I found myself with this guy who really opened up. He was from WA. He was an absolute champion. And then we went back out of our groups into the group of like 20. And then I was just looking for him all the time. Like, I was just, because I would have gone over to him and just, I'm your man, mate. Like, yeah, I've got you, you know, and I only known him 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I've been so impressed with how you guys have pivoted so quickly, and how the facilitators have been able to use the technology, because it's not easy to add slides and to add audio and stuff like that. How are the facilitators going for both programs? How are you feeling they're coping, and how different is it for them to do it this way than be out there actually, you know, in rooms face to face?
I think that they're actually doing pretty well. I think, like many people, you know, they're personally riding the wave, in terms of there's days, you know, there's about 17 of our team, and it might be days where, you know, 60% are up and 40% are down, and there's kind of, they're up and down. But I think the thing that they've also been surprised by, in the same way that you are, is that it has been really transferable. The skills that they've worked so hard to build over the last kind of, you know, 15 years is serving them really well in those rooms. And they have actually been able to create really deep moments of connection. And so I think that they're doing pretty well, but it's challenging at times, for sure.
And I think, like, I mean, some of the team definitely went through a bit of a mourning phase, because you know, they do this job because they want to connect with people. And so, you know, a lot of them are like, oh man, like, I loved going into big rooms with lots of people and having that face-to-face connection. And so, you know, they felt a bit robbed of like, oh, I'm not getting that now. But they, I mean, the pace that they moved with to rebuild, and the excitement, like, just, we've been meeting with them weekly, and just the level of excitement, and they're all up and about, which is great. And as Paige said, like, the majority of our team, about 80% of our team, have been facilitating for over 10 years, and they're all content developers. So they've all built their own workshops and understand how the elements of a really good experience break down. And so they've really loved the experience of going, awesome, this is just like creating a new piece of content by shifting it to a new platform. And so they're loving, just that process of, learning this bit, learning that bit. That worked really well, and every workshop's getting 20% better than the last one. So, you know, like everybody, riding the wave and trying to work out. Also, like the overwhelm sometimes of too many virtual connections. So I think that initially, you know, we all go into this pretty reactively, and it's like connect, you know, have as many calls as you can and all of that kind of stuff. But there's a too much point of that as well. It's got to be balanced out. You know, you might find that you're too much on the screen, and it's just, you know, you actually need to create a bit of your own space and a bit of spaciousness. You know, like, it might seem like, I've got all this time at home, but for a lot of people, that means they've got no space, because they're living on top of people, and then they're on screens connecting with people. And so we're all learning how to actually balance that, so that you can maintain, you know, your mental health and ride the waves of this crazy experience.
And some of our team have found just like checking in too much. Like, you know, we've created this beautiful culture of making sure everyone's okay, but actually sometimes it's like, I'm good today. I just need to go and do whatever.
Want to get busy.
Yeah.
Well, there's one thing that I've picked up on, is that I have sort of ups and downs as well, and I'm trying to be as positive as possible. And Messenger, I see every morning over 1,000 messages, and there's just no way I can get to them and so forth. But one thing I have been able to do is send out videos and stuff, which has been great. And this will be obviously a part of that series. But to allow people to have a shitty day is okay, and to actually have a couple of shitty days. Like, as you know my wife well. She was in Tokyo when this all blew up, so she had 14 days quarantine. I watched 80 episodes of various TV shows. It's 8-0, right? So I'm just, and the kids are like, I'm going, yep, no, good, no problem. And I was getting up and doing my exercise, but I just I was just out, I had no battery charge left. And I started to feel bad about that. And a friend of mine said, no, it's okay. You've given enough energy. You need that for the moment. If it gets longer than 80 episodes, you're probably on the brink of a funk. But, I've been able to bounce myself out of that. And people need to appreciate that you'll have your ups and downs, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
So basically Netflix has replaced your 8 hours a day of sport watching.
Thing is that I can't use the 8 hours of Netflix as research from a sports show. So I'm sort of stuffed.
No, that's right on that one.
But I think it's a good point. You definitely need to have that space to have those days. I mean, we both have, and our team definitely have. And there's been days where we've had to say to our team, take the afternoon off, or take the day, or have a longer weekend, or just being flexible with the reality of this time is so important.
In terms of the big rooms you talk about, and I've been in rooms with you, Tom, where there's been over 250. I think we nearly had 300 at a school early on. At what stage, at what number do you think the technology will max out of to be able to do what you guys do? Because you won't be able to get 250 on a Zoom call, right?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we did it last week.
Right. So tell us about that.
So, last week I had three sessions that I ran for one of our clients, a corporate organization, and it was their top 800 global leaders. And we ran 3 sessions. I think first one was like 160, second one was about 190, last one was 210.
Wow. Okay.
And it worked. It did. It is about how you utilize the technology partly, but it was really interesting because I'd run workshops for that audience before, and face to face. And at the end, we were having a debrief, and the head of people basically said, what was amazing was that you as the facilitator coming down the screen was still able to create the safety that enabled our people to share in a way that they wouldn't usually share. Yeah. And I didn't think that was going to be possible. I thought, well, if he's not there in person, it won't be the same, won't be able to create the same environment. But people were saying, like, it was amazing to see, like, using the chat box, using off mute as well at times with 200 people, and actually enabling them all to talk, because you harness that group energy. And all of the basics of, really good facilitation can still be utilized through that medium, breaking out everybody into groups of 5, across 200, and having more intimate connections, and then bringing them back in and hearing how people felt about it. People were saying, I feel human again. I felt so isolated even being on a call. And I think that's something really important to ram home, is being on a call with somebody virtually is not necessarily connection. The connection is how you communicate with them, and whether you communicate at depth, and, as we say, whether you ask the second and third question and go beyond the banter. Because a lot of people were saying, hey, we've had heaps of these catch-up calls with these groups and with our teams, but I still felt isolated. And because of the way that you've set up for us to talk in this one, this is the first time I've actually realized, no, I'm not alone. Everybody else is in this same experience. And as they're really sharing, really telling me what's going on, and I'm actually asking the second and third question and getting to deeper levels of honesty, I'm realizing I'm not alone. So I'm feeling genuinely connected right now. I feel genuinely not alone. And I think that's really important. And that's what we want to be doing right now. Like Tomorrow Man and Tomorrow Woman, sure, they've been really focused on expanding narrow gendered lenses, but sitting above that at like Tomorrow Collective, what we stand for, our why is create tomorrow. That's what we want to do. We want to create environments that enable people to reflect on their current reality and whether it's serving them or not, and have the environment where they can practice the skills where they'll be able to create their tomorrow, to actually be the author of the way they want it to play out. Not the way they've been taught a man should be or they've been taught a woman should be, but to actually say, I can actually make my own mind up on this and I can shape my life. That's never become more relevant than right now, because our lives have fundamentally changed. And so never before have we needed time to actually sit down and reflect on how, now that I'm on top of you, like a lot of partners are now going, all right, we're working with each other and we're living in the home with each other and the kids are at school in our home as well. So that's a time where you've got to sit down with each other and actually go, hey, how's this all playing out? Is it really working for us or is it not? And what do we want to change? But to have communication that goes below the line is so important. And so we feel more passionate than ever at using the skill of our facilitation to create those environments to train people. Yeah, we all know how to log on to a call together, but do we know how to actually connect at a level that's going to help our mental health and relieve the pressure? Expression is an amazing antidote to depression. And I think we need to create these environments where we can express what's going on for us and learn how to create that space for other people. And most of us it's not a practice muscle. So we do need a bit of help initially in how to do that.
Yeah.
So we're lightening up a little bit on the gendered focus, and we're actually moving more towards creating spaces of connection that teach people how to connect really well on these virtual mediums.
I don't think we could be more aligned, mate, because, we started off very much off the back of Man Up, me saying I want 1,000 Tom Harkins out there. That's going to save our world. And then, of course, Paige comes along, and then my wife falls in love with Paige, and then Tomorrow Woman comes along, and one of the schools that, just like your program in at Valley Boys with my son, fresh water with my daughter, they're still talking about it. What a wonderful experience and so forth. How have you felt, Paige, now that you're up and running with Tomorrow Woman and you've got some facilitators? How are you feeling? Because it's still relatively new.
Yeah. I mean, I feel more excited than ever for Tomorrow Woman, I think. I think there's never, like Tom's saying, there's never been more of a time where we need to connect. And I think even though we're not kind of being restricted by the gender norms, they're still playing out. And I think that particularly for women and the conversations I'm having with the Tomorrow Woman team and even being in the gathers, women are feeling a lot of extra pressure at the moment to be even more than what they already felt they needed to be. So I feel like Tomorrow Woman's never been so important as it is now. And to just, create those spaces, and particularly, women connect a lot. And at the moment, we're not connecting in that same way. And, women are often more touchy and feely. And so being able to have those spaces, I think, are really important right now.
Absolutely.
So very excited about it. And the exciting thing is the team are so excited about it. Every time I speak to our whole team, but particularly our Tomorrow Woman team, they're just so fired up about what the potential could be for the program. So
and it's given us the opportunity for new programs as well.
Totally.
And so like we've been running our gather nights, we've been running blokes nights, we're rolling out the school workshops in the same way, short form and long form. But some of the things that we'd been running them in small settings have now become much more possible. Like, father-son nights, we're going to be rolling those out because a lot of fathers and sons are in their houses together. They're captive, so let's run sessions. The same way with mother-daughter sessions, and, running those because they're in the same house. It's pretty easy to get on a call like this. And so we're rolling those out. The other thing is, sporting. I know that you would feel this great tragedy, but at the moment people aren't playing sport, and a large part of sport is just the camaraderie and the connection and having the excuse to get together and be connected. So what we're doing, some of the best teams in the world have really shown that so much of the on-field success is about the off-field building of cohesion and relationships and culture. And so we want to make gold out of this off season, and being off field. And so we're rolling out programs for, suburban and, elite teams, to be building. We're already doing those face to face, running workshops for, Richmond Footy Club and, the A-League teams and all that kind of stuff. And now we want to roll out the same content for, your suburban team around the corner who are going, we're just not getting to connect.
Yeah.
Well, this is a way that you can connect, and you can build your culture.
That's our newborn.
That's the Bubba. Bring the Bubba in if you can.
Coming in. He's coming in.
I won't keep you too much longer, Tom, but I wanted to just ask you, you said the facilitators, they're amazing people. I've met a lot of them, and they are truly amazing. How hard is it? When I said I needed 1,000 Tom Harkins 4 years ago, we're just over sort of 10, 11, 12, and some have come and some have gone, and some have been brilliant, some we missed, blah, blah. How hard is it to actually get hold of the right type of person to be able to not only remember what to do and to be up there and doing it, but be so legitimately in love with what they're doing, so you actually believe them and you just jump in and be vulnerable with them?
It's really hard. It's really hard.
Little Gussie.
Finally fallen in love with the name.
We shouldn't have told you. Now that you know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Gorgeous.
Doggy to you, mate. Yeah, mate, it's really hard. I think that, we've always prided ourselves on working with the men and women who would usually turn their backs on these workshops and this work. So, we work with FIFO workers. We work out in machinery sheds in the country. We work in juvenile justice and prison systems. We work in high schools. We work in surf clubs. We work in footy clubs. All these environments, where people wouldn't necessarily jump at this type of work. And so initially it can be really frosty. People are just like, who are you? And why should I listen to you? And why has it even been organised? I don't want to do this shit, And so it takes a lot to have really worked on yourself to the point where your insecurities don't lead you to act out and put on a bravado or try and look cool to these people. But just to recognize, it's fine that you're feeling that way. I can see that you think I'm a bit of a dickhead and you're not sure about this workshop. And hopefully if I just am genuine, that I'm not here to sell you something or push something on you or change you, that you'll come around. And it always does. 15 minutes in, they're like, hey, this isn't so bad. You're not actually a dickhead. And this is just getting better and better as I go through it. Finding those people is really hard because you got to do a lot of work on yourself to be able to not only stand in front of a room, but it's facilitation. It's not presentation. So to be able to recognize what's happening in the subtext of a group dynamic and to be able to call it out in a way that's not condescending and that's not judgmental, just to call it out as an observation of what's going on in a way that people don't feel they need to guard themselves or attack or whatever it might be. So yeah, it is really challenging. And then the work's challenging, you know what I mean? Like our team's out there, often out on the road for long stretches of time, holding space for people that have often never spoken before about what they're talking about because they've never had the opportunity to have a real conversation that's not just bantering. And so, you have to have a lot of emotional resilience for that. A lot of coping mechanisms where you can self-manage and, we provide, support obviously as a business, and there's supervision sessions that they do and all of those kind of things. And we work their schedule so that they've got some downtime and that it's in blocks and there's a team out there with them. But having said all of that, you still need to have a lot of resilience. So yeah, it's I mean, that's one of the kind of pipe dreams, Gussie, that you know about. But our next big strategic move is to create the training program that we know builds those capabilities in people. A long-term facilitation training program that will actually be the pipeline to 1,000 facilitators. But you know, you can't do everything at once, and so we've been working on just, you know, getting Tomorrow Man and Tomorrow Woman up and firing, and getting a solid team and the content and the culture together. And now we're ready to go. Well, now we exist. Let's go to the next level.
That to me, anyone who's been to the gatherings with the Tomorrow Woman or with the Tomorrow Man, Blokes Night, Father and Sons, anything that I've been involved in, even sort of ad hoc stuff, just turning up at schools and doing something within the 45 minutes we've got. And I've done that a few times with you and also Andy and Matt in the past. You guys nail those programs beautifully. And I've got no doubt that you'll continue to do that. But that's always been my massive thing, is how do we get these wonderful people? Because like you say, that's a great way to describe it. They're facilitators, not presenters. What was that word you said?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I just think that sums it up perfectly. And that's why it's so hard, because people say, well, just learn the script. Well, kids see through that in 5 seconds, don't they?
Yeah.
And like, I mean, we've always been really clear that we're creating training grounds, and the training ground is there so that people experience a transformation, that they come in thinking about the world and thinking about masculinity or femininity in a certain way, and they leave thinking differently about it, but also able to act differently. And you can't do that through a presentation. You know, a presentation is, you know, often entertaining, and it's an information share, and it can get people thinking differently, but it doesn't give them a chance to get on the tools and actually, you know, learn how to do something differently and go, okay, now I can do this with my mates, or I can do this with my son or my daughter, or, you know, I can do this with my girlfriends. I know how to do differently now, rather than, that was just eye-opening.
That's a perfect way to describe it. And I think little Gussie there is just doing such a beautiful. Is he gone back to sleep again? Sort of.
He what? Sorry.
Is he gone back to sleepy bye-byes?
He's going back to sleep, actually, which is very strange. We'll let him do that.
Soothing voice of Uncle Gus over the top, you see. Just let him to sleep. These are unprecedented times, and I love how you've pivoted. And of course, we are in, you know, times at Gotcha4Life as well, where we're unprecedented too, where we're trying to get as much money as possible for you guys to do the brilliant work that you guys are doing. So I pinched myself the day we met, Tom, and now Paige is involved, and we're all in here together doing our best to create a new set of rules for men and women to live so much better mentally in this country. So thank you for taking the time out.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about this the other day to Tim, but and Vix, but just saying that we really feel that we've grown up together. You know, like our organization started at the same time, and it's been amazing to learn with you guys, and you know, to have a partnership where you've always got somebody in your corner. We started so small, and you know, we've grown, we've become legitimate organizations now. But also then to be challenged in this way and know that we're going through it together, and learning from each other, and not needing to ride solos. I think what this time's all about. It's about coming together, community, connection, and you know, and pooling resources. And so it means a lot to us to have you guys in our corner, and just excited for what this can do for us all. You know,
I've gone from complete concern to excitement to, I was just blown away by how good everything was online and how quickly that happened, and how I was thinking, there's no way you can build that safety to be able to be that vulnerable. And I'm like, this is awesome. You know, like within 20 minutes, I really felt this is awesome. And I'm out there spruiking it now as much as I can. So thank you so much for joining me, guys. I hope we can do this again at some stage and maybe get some tips off you in a month or so's time. But hopefully we're out of it by then, or at least we have some sort of time, you know, some sort of date in the diary that we're working towards. 'Cause I think at the moment it's doing everyone's head in with us not quite knowing, you know, the final date to it all.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
But you guys are awesome. I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much.
Cheers, Gussie. You're a legend.
You go all right too. See you guys.